let us see if it works. Hopefully it does. I think that we're working. Everyone says, hey, Ben. All right, let's see. That is now live, and we will start this up. Alrighty, perfect. Good to go there. And I'll turn the camera around so y'all can see. Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me for this Tropics update and discussion for September 13th, 2021. Lots to break down this evening with regards to Tropical Storm Nicholas, the system still maintaining a stronger end tropical storm status this evening. Of course, we're streaming both on YouTube and on TikTok Live this evening. So if you have any questions, please feel free to shout out as many questions as possible. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, and give the video a comment or a like, and I'll try to get back to your comments in the video section below. So a lot of information to share with you this evening with regards to this tropical storm. The system is still maintaining, like I mentioned, tropical storm status. It has not rapidly strengthened, and we've kind of mentioned this over the past couple of days, that the environment, although moderately favorable and conducive for development, the window for rapid strengthening just wasn't really there. One of the reasons for that, as I'll talk about in detail throughout this video, is wind shear in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, and also some dry air that could have some big implications for the rainfall totals for some folks throughout coastal southeastern Texas and for Louisiana. But this system, although it's going to bring some coastal flooding and storm surge, as well as some sporadic power outages and wind, the main concern for a large section of the Gulf Coast and the northwestern Gulf Coast, as you can see here in the graphic behind me, is going to be the rainfall. All the way from landfall in southeastern Texas and into Louisiana, a large area of 5 to 8 inches of rainfall from southeastern Texas to Louisiana and into Mississippi as well. So a lot of details to talk about with the system. So of course, we'll start off with kind of a breakdown of where the system's at, latest look at the National Hurricane Center track, and kind of some of my thoughts with regards to what impacts we are going to see here in southeast Louisiana, Acadiana, and over towards southeastern Texas as well. So let's go ahead and pull this up this evening. We'll kind of start from the top with a look at the visible satellite animation. And I'm going to make my camera lens here just a tad bit smaller so you can see less of me and more of the graphics here behind me. First things first, I kind of want to take a look at the shape and structure of this system, because it's gone through quite a bit of a structural change throughout the day today. We've had what's called a center relocation or reformation, where we've kind of had a broad center here, and you'll see it as I outline this, the counterclockwise flow. We have a broad center here. Throughout the day, we had kind of a center here, a center here, center here. It's been kind of doing these little loops all around a broad center. The reason that we've had such a juxtaposed center of circulation that hasn't really been all that compact is because we've got west-southwesterly wind shear that's kind of limiting the ability for the center to really get concise and compact. It's showed signs that it wants to do it, or that it wants to organize in a quicker fashion, but we've had just enough southwesterly wind shear in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere that if you look at the circulation, here's where the center is approximately located south of Matagorda Bay and Victoria, Texas. And if you look at this and you kind of do a cross-sectional diagram through this entire system, you'll notice that much of the rough weather is located east of where the center of circulation is located. And unfortunately, what that means for us here in Louisiana is a whole heck of a lot of rain is coming for many spots of South Louisiana. Now, there are some implications as to exactly where the heaviest rain is going to set up, but the moral of the story here is all of this moisture, this big cloud shield that you're seeing, is going to expand towards the north and east because, again, we've got that upper level wind shear that is still out of the west-southwest. So as the center moves inland, much of that mid and upper level moisture associated with Nicholas, as the center kind of does one of these motions to the north and then northeast, much of the moisture associated with the system is going to fall along that track and well east of where the center comes on shore. So let's look at the upper levels of the atmosphere, and you can see again that wind shear that I mentioned, and we'll click on the water vapor here. Here's the water vapor imagery, and I'll tell you what, if you look at the upper level diagnostics with this system, if this was about 12 to 18 hours slower in the forward motion, the environment would have been fairly conducive for strengthening. However, it was just far enough north with this track as it makes its beeline towards coastal southeastern Texas that it's run in. You see these cirrus clouds up here near Austin, Houston, and near Shreveport? You see those cirrus clouds kind of ripping from the southwest towards the northeast? That wind shear is kind of helping to decapitate or kind of blow the tops off of these developing storms around the center. So there's just enough wind shear around our circulation that we've only seen modest or steady strengthening through the day today. Max sustained winds are at 65 miles per hour. This is the latest track from the National Hurricane Center. This is the 4 p.m. Central Time track. There have been some slight adjustments with this track. You can see the track now is taking the system on a general track towards the north-northeast with time, and then a bend back towards the east, like so, as a depression. Now notice, it could stay a little bit closer to the coast towards Galveston Bay and closer towards South Louisiana, or it could go as far north as Katy and then into central parts of Louisiana along that track. So there is some variation here north to south, but the general thinking is a track towards the north-northeast and then a curve back towards the east. And my concern with this, as I've mentioned in several of my Facebook and Instagram posts, is that this is not moving very quickly. Notice, 1 o'clock tomorrow, center is near Houston. 1 o'clock Wednesday, the center is near Lake Charles and Lafayette. 1 p.m. Thursday, it's near Jackson, Mississippi. So 72 hours for the system to move basically from Houston to Jackson, right? So a not very quick-paced system means one thing. All of us that live here on the Gulf Coast know that slow-moving storms are known for dropping a lot of heavy rain. The key with this system is going to be where the heavy rain eventually does fall. And there are some caveats to this, as I mentioned in an earlier Facebook post, that there could be some dry air that wraps in on the backside of this system that at least helps or mitigates the potential that we see catastrophic rainfall amounts, right? I expect some significant rain to come out of this. Some hot spots of 10 to 15 inches of rain, no doubt, is going to be possible along the track and east of where the center comes on shore in this general region. There could easily be some spots that see widespread 5 to 10 inches of rain, and some hot spots of greater amounts than that will be possible where we see the training of some of these bands that set up as the center pulls back towards the east. So let's talk about that. Again, I want to kind of break this down in a little bit of a higher level fashion than maybe you're typically used to with your standard weather report. So I kind of want to show you some nitty-gritty about the forecast. And to do that, what I'm first going to show you is the Weather Prediction Center for this evening. This is their latest day 1 excessive rainfall outlook, and you can see this area that we've got highlighted in pink. That is the area from basically Houston to Galveston, Beaumont, Port Arthur, Texas, where tonight, as that center comes on shore, we're going to have the threat, a higher level threat for excessive rainfall. That's the highest level on the scale, a high level 4 out of 4 threat for excessive rainfall. As we go towards the day tomorrow, that heavy rainfall threat begins to pivot more towards the east. You can see the area that we've got outlined here, basically from Lake Charles to Lafayette for a large section of Acadiana, and even into southeastern Louisiana, near New Orleans and Baton Rouge, Houma, all the areas that were just recently hit by catastrophic Hurricane Ida. The threat will be going up for heavy rainfall along coastal southeast Louisiana midday on Tuesday as well. And that's going to continue Tuesday into Tuesday night and on Wednesday. So notice that threat on Wednesday expands further to the east. So as that track, again, kind of takes a path like so, we see that threat level increase for much of South Louisiana Tuesday and into Wednesday. So Tuesday into Wednesday is the primary time frame for southeast Louisiana to see the greatest rainfall impacts. Now, your question, as I'm sure we're probably getting on the YouTube live stream, and I'll check some of the comments here for a moment, and make sure that y'all have, if you've got any questions, feel free to shout them out, and I'll try to answer as many of your questions as possible during the live video. So let's go talk about this kind of in a model perspective. I want to show you some things that I find interesting about the forecast. Here we are tonight. This is the 18Z NAM, the North American model, and kind of its take on the system. So tonight the system makes landfall and we see heavy rain set up. Can y'all see that okay, or should I zoom in just a tad? We'll zoom in just a little bit to give you a better look at this, closer towards Louisiana and Texas. So here we are tonight and into early tomorrow morning. We start to see Nicholas making landfall very close to Matagorda Bay, and then that center moving up near the Houston metro. That brings that initial heavy batch of rain into parts of southeastern Texas and southwest Louisiana tonight and into Tuesday morning, along with some sporadic power outages with tropical storm force winds and gusts near 70 miles per hour possible there near the landfall spot and along Galveston Bay. There could also be 3 to 5 feet of storm surge. Over towards the east, a little bit lower storm surge, but certainly still 2 to 3 feet of storm surge along coastal South Louisiana, and the tidal rise that's above normally dry ground for southwestern Louisiana. As we go towards the midday time frame on Tuesday, look what starts to happen. The center starts to lift north, and we see these bands. This is the center right about here. We see these bands that set up late in the day on Tuesday, and where these bands set up, of course, near the center, but also ahead of the center, that will be some areas to watch for some localized hot spots of 5 to 10 plus inches of rain. On this particular forecast model, the NAM, it shows general swath. You can see near Lake Charles, near 7 inches of rain, near New Orleans of about 5 to 7 inches of rain. But you see these areas. Look at one near Houma. Look at one near coastal Mississippi, another near Lake Charles. There's going to be some individual batches where we see the training of cells that could lead to some higher amounts that could cause more extensive flash flood potential. Obviously, in southeastern Louisiana, we've got a lot of debris that is still being picked up across the area from Ida. A lot of spots don't even have power back yet for Lafourche, Terrebonne, Lower Jefferson Parish, and even some spots into the North Shore as well. So because of that and that added debris on the ground, that could easily lead to catch basins being clogged up, drainage being not nearly as good, and also river levels are also still high as well. The concern with that is that we could have some river flooding as well because of the saturated soils that we have left in the wake of Ida. Going to the latest high-res NAM and the high-res HER model. The HER model in particular shows a little bit of a more, let's say, bullish scenario, showing some spots near Acadiana picking up 10 to 15 inches of rain. You see those areas highlighted in the darker purple. And I don't think that it's out of text or out of kind of the realm of possibility to see some rainfall amounts above the 10-inch kind of caliber. But I don't think it's going to be widespread. But I do think some individual hot spots will see that amount. And you can see on the NAM quite a large swath of 5 to 10-inch rainfall amounts possible. So again, not a big wind concern for South Louisiana, but certainly a heavy rain potential Tuesday and into Wednesday. One thing I want to show you, and this is always, I like to be a glass half full kind of person, and if y'all follow me on any other social media platforms, you know that I try to always provide kind of a, let's think about the positive or the optimistic side of the forecast. One thing that interests me about the forecast moving towards Tuesday, I think that it's a pretty good bet that from New Orleans to Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Houston, you're going to see 4 to 6 inches of rain. What could keep it from being 8 to 12 inches of rain, right? When you get to that 8 to 10 inch rainfall amount, that's when you really start talking about a much greater flash flood threat. Here's the NAM forecast model. This is on early Wednesday morning. And if you look at this, here's the center right about here. Do you see that orange shading getting pulled in on the back side? That is dry air in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. And if that dry air, enough of that dry air can kind of get wedged in here, kind of undercutting this deeper tropical moisture that you see outlined in the blue, right? That's the deeper tropical moisture kind of getting fed into our system. If that gets undercut by some of that upper level dry air, then that may help to limit the amount of overall moisture available to produce those more extensive bouts of heavy rain. So that's the takeaway, is that this is a significant heavy rainfall threat. And I did mention earlier a growing concern for heavy rainfall across a large section of coastal southeastern Texas tonight, and also sporadic power outages to be expected in and around southeastern Texas as that center comes on shore with Tropical Storm Nicholas. Then as the center moves towards the east into Louisiana, that flash flood threat will expand. Notice, here we are into the day on Tuesday, and then Tuesday and into Wednesday as that center continues to track farther towards the east, that heavy rainfall and flash flood threat expands. So takeaway point, heavy rainfall, big concern. Please have a way to receive weather alerts the next couple of days. Of course, I'll have updates on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok as well. So until then, make sure you like my page, subscribe to my channel, and like the video, and leave your comments in the video as well. Have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you